of course, we'll confess to God first our sins, and He's the only one who really forgives our sins. But at times, another person also is needed. And why is that? Because this is where I share my struggles, I share my problems, and that person will actually point me to Christ, because this is what it says. It doesn't say that He forgives my sins, that the other person to whom I confess my trespasses and sins can forgive my sins. No, this is what the Catholic Church had adopted, particularly confession. And many people believe that when they confess to a priest, their sins are forgiven. No, that priest or that person needs to point you to Christ. That's the most important, because Christ is the one who forgives. And that's why this verse tells, confess your trespasses to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed. Here, what does it say? It says to pray for one another. So after I confess my trespasses, my issues, my problems to some other person, we're going where? To pray. I mean, He doesn't forgive my sins. We're going to pray together so that God can forgive my sins. But still, the fellowship and the communion is important here at this point, to have that personal communion and fellowship, because as we said, at times I cannot share all my struggles, I cannot share all my problems and issues in front of everyone, in a small group, even if I really trust those people, 5 or 10 believers, whoever they are. But I need that personal fellowship with another person, with another brother. It doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be a pastor. Yes, it could be an elder in the church, or it could be simply another brother to whom you can trust, who also is quite mature, because you cannot confess your trespasses to someone who is new in faith. You'd confess your struggles to someone who can give you an advice that will point you to Christ, that will show you how to find an answer from Christ. So this is what I had to share about what is true fellowship according to the Bible.